This is the Sunday stream opening song because the other song is copyrighted. La 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 la. Oh look, here comes Dog Cat Fox.
Hi, Sky.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday stream, the stream I do on Sundays, because Sunday is the day to stream on Sundays. Hope you're all doing well on this beautiful Sunday morning. It's decent out. I mean, it's still cold out there, but at least it's not like all, at least currently, not all snowy and icy and such. It's just kind of a muted gray light outside. Hopefully it'll brighten up later, but every Sunday morning is a beautiful Sunday morning, unless it's not. But otherwise, who's joining me on this beautiful Sunday morning? The Alexander. Good morning. Walter Tomaszewski. Good morning to you. I keep losing chat posts. I don't know what to tell you. Scribe, good morning. My cats like your mustache. They just don't know why Monkey MIM is wearing it. Mim? Pick on a certain Elon platform, or is it? I don't know what Mim is off the top of my head. I might need a clarification on that. Is wearing it. The pick of on a certain Elon platform, or is it CF? Okay, you're speaking in code. I need a key. I need a Captain Midnight decoder ring. I apologize. If you can clear that up for me, I'll try to answer the question. Old Guy Gamer. Good morning. Day 3 of waking up at 3 a.m. for no reason. Ugh. Well, I have to wake up at 4 a.m. every day for a reason. So 3 a.m. for no reason sucks. Abdicatus Diaboli, good morning. Keeverdam, good morning to you, and thank you, Keeverdam, for providing the donation link to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, guys. That's been pinned to the top of the chat box. If you take a look at that, if you are able to donate to that, I would appreciate it if you could, but if you can't, that's fine. If you can share that out on social media, that would also be appreciated. So thank you for that ahead of time. I just talked to my dad yesterday. He and my mother were out doing shopping and coffee-type things, and he's doing well. So, science into treating leukemia, at least in my father's case, is helping out quite a bit. So thank you guys ahead of time. Shady Grin, good morning. Who else is here? Mike Savage, Blarg. Jill Powers, the River Daughter. Good morning to you. Who else is here? TFA Oryx, good morning. Some Namnul Nation, good morning. Keishul, good morning to you. Some Namnul Nation. Good morning. Kiro Soldier, hello. JB, hello. Brian Morissette, good morning. Bridget. Good morning. Mike R, good morning. Digi, good morning, Digi. I don't know if I know you, Digi. Well, hello, Digi. Nice to see you. Full Metal Joker, good morning. John Trioxin, good morning. Zan Wild, good morning. Not Zan Wilder, the cousin of Van Wilder, but Zan Wild. Green Badger Outdoors, good morning to you. Who else is here? Anybody else? Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The ceremony is about to begin. Resolute Germ, good morning. Meh. Good morning to you. Tier Alexander, good morning. Darren Root, hello. Juliet, good morning. Or afternoon, as the case may be. Let's see. And Toot Sweet, good morning. Oh, Kiro Soldier, thank you so much. David Hogg is a dope, benefiting from false fame. Well, we'll get into David in just a moment. Well, not get into him, but, we'll talk about him momentarily. Zer1 Portnoy, good morning. And Simon Willikins, good morning. If I missed anybody, if you're lurking, if you're in the future, good morning. All right, so yes, let's get into it. First and foremost, if you did not know, a few months ago, I did a TEDx talk that featured David Hogg. I'll put a link to that talk in the chat right now for your reference. The title of his talk was, Want to Build a Better Future? Let Young People Lead. Young people, like David Hogg. Well, how's that going so far? Let's find out about David Hogg. Newly elected DNC, that's the Democratic National Committee, Vice Chair David Hogg, using platform to solicit donations for his own political action committee, insiders say. Doesn't give an oink. Oh, let's get into it. Let's pause this thing. David Hogg is being a pig, according to a Democratic National Committee insiders who are already slinging mud at the new party vice chairman. Barely 2 weeks into his tenure, Hogg has been leveraging DNC contact lists to blast out messages soliciting donations to his own political action committee, from which he draws more than $100,000 in compensation a year, according to Federal Election Commission records. $100,000 a year for being at the top of his own pack. Man, I'm in the wrong business. Quote, David Hogg here. I was just elected DNC vice chair. This is a huge win for our movement to make the Democratic Party more reflective of our base. Youthful, energetic, and ready to win, reads one of the 8 texts he sent out to DNC's vast database of phone numbers. Man, now, how could you not trust that face? Oh, man. Kiefer missed my super chat. Mr. Super Chat. What? Oh. Kiefer, thank you so much. Pardon me. Okay. See, I'm not even up on my own friends' acronyms. Mexican Iron Man. Okay. I thought it looked familiar, but it just doesn't. Okay. So let me go back, if I can, to Walter Tomaszewski's thing. Okay, let's try this again. Scribe, good morning. My cats like your mustache. They just don't know why Mexican Iron Man is wearing it. The pick on a certain Elon platform, or is it CF? Okay, now I don't know what CF is. But no, the Mexican Iron Man. Here, let me show you something. So, do I still have it available here? Oh, man. Now I got to try to recreate stuff. 1 second here. Let's see if I still have these images that I showed off. Yes, I think I do. Okay, so let me tell you a little story about a man named Jed. Poor mountaineer, barely kept his family fed. Then one day, anyway. So Mexican Iron Man is not a YouTuber. Let me make sure I make that clear. He is not actually a YouTuber, but he is on YouTube occasionally. And several months ago, I found out that his favorite film, apparently, is The Accountant with Ben Affleck, because Mexican Iron Man in real life is an accountant. And so as a joke, as I often do on YouTube, I made a fake movie poster. And I will show you that movie poster in a moment here, as soon as I find it on the thing. So I made a fake movie poster on behalf of Mexican Iron Man, in order to sort of as a gag. Because I do that for friends. So here's the poster. Mexican Iron Man, the accountant. Right? Okay, well, shortly thereafter, I found out that there was going to be a sequel to The Accountant. And so for the last, month or two or something, I have been waiting with bated breath for the official poster for The Accountant 2 to show up. Because I knew as soon as it did, I was going to do a follow-up poster for it. But I didn't know what it would look like, and so I was waiting and waiting. And then just the other day, they finally released the official poster for The Accountant 2. And it looks like this. Find the Accountant. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. I took out the tagline. Hold on. You got to have it with the tagline. If you don't have the tagline, half the joke doesn't work. Where is that now? Oh, man. I'm doing this all off the cuff, guys. I apologize, but I have to tell this story. If I don't tell this story, then it just doesn't make any sense. Where is it? Where did it go? There it is. Okay, so I got to find that one there. Let's try this again. Okay, so we're looking for not that one. We're looking for the one with the actual tagline on it, which would be this one. Okay, so let's try this again. So that's the poster without the tagline. Okay, so here's the tagline. It says, "Do you like puzzles? Find the Accountant, Ben Affleck, The Accountant 2. And I saw that, I'm like, are you serious? Really? You have a movie called The Accountant? So in honor of Mexican Iron Man, and in honor of the sequel, and the fact that I did a joke poster before, I took my time with my nascent Photoshop skills, and I took this poster, and I fixed it. I fixed it for Mexican Iron Man. Now it's a tax season. Because he's an accountant, right? Tax season. It's a tax season. You get it? Do you get it? Anyway, So through the power of Photoshop and a little bit of grok on Twitter, I was able to come up with, I think, a pretty decent Mexican Iron Man head and sombrero. And I added the mustache myself. And that is indeed not my mustache. It's a nice little black curly Q mustache, whereas mine's much more bushy. Anyway, I know you get it. I'm you know, it's a bad joke. A tax season. I think it's. Anyway, that's the story behind Mexican Iron Man and the posters and such. And now upstairs from me, there's a lot of repetitive squeaking, and I don't know if that's being picked up on the microphone. I hope it isn't, because this is a family show. But all the same, I'm sure somebody's just jumping on the bed upstairs. I'm sure that's all it is. Anyway, with that aside, back to David Hogg, because why not? So he used the DNC's contact list to solicit donations to his personal PAC, from which he draws $100,000 every year in compensation for doing something. Solicitation texts include a link to Hogg's Leaders We Deserve PAC. Quote, David Hogg, talk about living up to your name. A trough of DNC dollars all for him, and he doesn't seem to give an oink, unquote. A top Democrat grumbled to the Post. Not going to tell us who it was, okay? Hogg co-founded Leaders We Deserve in August of 2023, with the stated goal of electing young progressives to Congress and state legislatures across the country. It also provided him a 6-figure income job right out of college. Yeah, a job he created on the backs of a tragedy that he was tangentially involved with. Just remember, David Hogg is only significant because a whole bunch of people that are not David Hogg died violently. Since the PAC was founded, Hogg has pocketed more than $175,000, records show, with more than $20,000 in salary payments coming in December alone, the most recent month for which public data is available. While it's not officially against the rules, personal PAC fundraising, instead of fundraising for the DNC, has rubbed some party brass the wrong way. Well, maybe you should make it officially against the rules, if you guys are having that much of a problem with it. I'd say the DNC should make it officially against the rules. Just an idea. Quote, it's especially important for all Democratic national officials to focus on raising support for the party and not using their position to raise money for themselves or their personal political PACs, unquote, groused a second senior Democratic Party official. Quote, it's a stunning lack of judgment that is concerning to many people, unquote. Yes, the DNC, very concerned about their members not self-enriching off of the backs of the party itself, and yet they'll still celebrate Nancy Pelosi as someone to admire. Or any other... David Hogg might be the most junior member to be caught doing something like this, but he's not the only one. Give me a break. The 24-year-old came to public prominence as a survivor of the February 2018 mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, which left 17 people dead. Hogg's appointment to the party's vice chair job at just 24 makes him arguably the most powerful Zoomer in the United States. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. What power does he have? To do what? Exactly. But at least some members of the party were alarmed by his lack of experience, well, not alarmed enough not to vote for him, and a long history of social media posts supporting far-left positions like defund the police and abolishing the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. Oh, give me a break. Tons of left-leaning politicians have been asking for ICE to be eliminated over the last several years, especially under Trump. That's nothing new. But you remember when David Hogg was encouraging Canadians to donate to American elections? And even Michael Moore had to step in and go wait, no. No, wait, stop. Quote, I mean, it's just very frustrating to be in a party in desperate need of increased accountability for our struggling leadership and watch someone who is never held accountable ascend to leadership, said Cameron Caskey, a fellow Stoneman Douglas survivor. Well, you might want to ask those that voted David Hogg into that position what they were thinking. I don't know what to tell you. He was, as far as I know, democratically elected. So, reached by phone, Hogg told the Post he was, quote, not doing any interviews, and then hung up. Well, he's halfway to being a politician already. Quote, David has already raised money for the DNC since becoming vice chair, and many times before, a spokesman later emailed. Oh, well, I mean, he's already done plenty of fundraising for the DNC, so fundraising for himself is, perfectly reasonable. He's already done his bit for the DNC, now it's David's turn. I guess. That was supposed to... whatever. Anyway, so... there's David Hogg on the fast track to becoming a tried and true politician. Oh, man. I mean, if the rules don't disallow it, someone will find a way to make use of the lack of restriction. I don't know what to tell you. If you guys are all up in arms over, oh, how dare he try to profit personally off of this? If it's not against the rules, what's he doing wrong? Oh, you have some ethical quibbles against him. Okay, well then make it a rule. Don't do that. DNC contact lists are not for you to use for your personal gain. It'd be a pretty quick rule, but you've never done it before. And the fact that you've never done it before, and David Hogg is obviously a complete amateur at this, I'd have to say it's probably been done before. It's just easy to dunk on David Hogg because he's got no political connections, and there's not a whole lot of fallout if you start taking him down because he's not actually as powerful as that article suggests. I don't know. I'm just saying, if you want to use him as a scapegoat, yeah, now'd be the time to change the rules. Will they, though? Will they? I don't know. Probably not. Probably not. Let's see. Going over to the chat real quick. Matt, 0 points for the non-binary African Latino candidate. Why is the DNC so racist? I don't know. Mike R., wasn't David Hogg not even at the school when the shooting popped up? I've heard various reports of he was there or he traveled there when it was taking place, or I honestly don't know what the truth is of it, but either way, the only reason he is known at all is because of a bunch of dead people. And maybe they were people he knew. I don't know. I don't know. But after all these years, he's still a moron, apparently. He doesn't know what he's doing. And yet he was elected to a high position in the Democratic Party. I know. That seems so weird. The Democratic Party electing people to positions of authority who are not qualified to be in those positions of authority. It's such an anomaly, isn't it? Kirsten Scholl, both hello to you again for K Scholl, and also Kirsten Scholl's over on the X machine. I forgot to mention I am simulcasting on X. So if you happen to see this stream posted on X, if you'd retweet that out and share it, I'd appreciate it. Because, yeah, you guys are my contact list. This is how... I don't have a political action committee. I don't take any action whatsoever except talk about stuff. But, yeah, the more people know that this exists, the better, I guess. Snorta-Poopus Cuber. David Hogg and Greta Thunberg are going to get married, have ugly, angry children who amount to nothing. Probably. It's Bridget. You won't get Clintoned for critiquing David Hogg. Yet. Let's just say, yet. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? Also, Robert Pincus, good morning. All right, so moving on to our next story. This... I had to read the headline of this twice when I first saw it because I thought to myself, race walker? Is that like the dollar store Luke Skywalker? But no, I had to stop and like, oh, you mean like speed walking? Race walker and Olympic silver medalist Koki Ikeda suspended 4 years for doping. And I was just trying to imagine, people would dope for speed walking? I guess you could dope for anything. It hadn't occurred to me. It also hadn't occurred to me that speed walking was an Olympic sport. Japanese race walker It just sounds so weird, like race walker. In this day and age, it sounds like something that has to do with DEI. Anyway, race walker Koki Ikeda, a former Olympic silver medalist, has been banned for 4 years for doping, the Athletic Integrity Unit said Friday. The Athletic Integrity Unit. The athletics watchdog said that a disciplinary and appeals tribunal ruled that the 26-year-old Ikeda had broken anti-doping rules. Ikeda had been provisionally banned from competition since November of 2024, with his results disqualified since June of 2023. Okay. Doping authorities say abnormalities were detected in his blood samples taken in June, August, and September of 2023. The AIU, I want to say atheism is unstoppable when I see that. But anyway, the AIU alleged the abnormalities, quote, were indicative of blood manipulation. Ikeda won silver at the 2012 Tokyo Olympics and silver at the 2022 World Championships. So did they not do any kind of blood testing back in 2012 and 2022? Only now? I guess so. But yeah, doping for speed walking. I guess anything that's physically competitive has the risk of someone trying to manipulate their body for an advantage. Outside of the natural limits of human excellence, chemically or medically or otherwise. But I just found that so weird. Speed walking gets a doping thing. But that's not the only sports doping story. From another realm of athletics that it never really occurred to me it would make any sense to dope oneself or get some advantage. But again, I'm having to reassess that. Like anything. I'm waiting for the doping scandal for a ping pong tournament. But in close relation, Yannick Sinner's, and I think the clue might have been in the name, Yannick Sinner's deal with WADA to accept 3-month ban slammed by fellow tennis pros. Well, heck, who's Yannick Sinner and what did he do? Top-ranked Yannick Sinner accepted a 3-month doping ban deal, was slammed by his fellow tennis professionals on Saturday. Sinner, I love this, Sinner, and the World Doping Agency settled on the suspension. That means he can play again from May 5th, will not lose his number 1 ranking, will not miss any Grand Slams, and will not lose titles or prize money he earned after testing positive for a banned anabolic steroid last March. So wait a second. He's found having cheated in the most egregious way possible, an anabolic steroid. And yet there's no real penalty. He gets to keep his money. He gets to keep his titles. I'd be upset too. 3-time Grand Slam champion Stan Wawrinka wrote on X, quote, I don't believe in a clean sport anymore. I can understand why. Quote, fairness in tennis does not exist, Wimbledon runner-up Nick Kyrgios said on X. All these names I'm having trouble pronouncing. I have trouble pronouncing names sometimes. Quote, obviously Sinner's team have done everything in their power to just go ahead and take the 3-month ban. No titles lost, no prize money lost. Guilty or not, sad day for tennis, unquote. World number 8, Daniil Medvedev, speaking after losing in the Open 13 semifinals in Marseille, said, quote, I hope everyone can discuss with WADA and defend themselves like Yannick Sinner from now on, unquote. Yeah, I mean, what's the downside to doping then? Really, what is the downside? If there are no consequences, this reminds me of like after the 2008 financial crash, moral hazard. This reminds me of DEI running rampant over the last 10 years. No consequences. If you don't have a disincentive to cheat, then there's no incentive not to, I guess that's probably just a tautology. Anyway, former British number 1 Tim Henman told Sky Sport, quote, when I read the statement this morning, it just seems a little bit too convenient. Obviously, having just won the Australian Open, to miss 3 months of the tour and therefore to be eligible to play at Roland Garros, the timing couldn't have been any better for Sinner, but I still think it leaves a pretty sour taste for the sport. Well, of everything else, not having his titles or money stripped from him from things he did after he was found doping seems the most ridiculous. of everything else. Like, he's still profiting off of cheating in that way. The Professional Tennis Players Association, founded by Novak Djokovic and Vasek Pospisil, also weighed in on X, posting a statement criticizing the parties involved in the decision-making process: the ATP, WTA, Grand Slams, WADA, and International Tennis Integrity Agency. The International Tennis Integrity Agency. All you guys should be fired. Because I'll tell you what, if that's integrity in sport, you're all doing terrible jobs. Quote, "The system is not a system. It's a club. Supposed case-by-case discretion is, in fact, merely cover for tailored deals, unfair treatment, and inconsistent rulings. It's not just the different results for different players, it's the lack of transparency, the lack of process, the lack of consistency, the lack of credibility in the alphabet soup of agencies charged with regulating our sports and athletes," unquote. The PTPA wrote. Whoa! It accused the agencies of an unacceptable bias, quote, "for all athletes, and shows a deep disrespect for every sport and its fans. It's time for change." I would agree. This seems pretty egregious. If you get caught cheating, you should not profit off of it. And if your last name is Sinner, I'm not saying it inherently means something bad, but in this story, it's too perfect. You know. I mean, if somebody told me tennis star Sinner caught cheating, I'd almost have to think it was some kind of Onion headline or Babylon Bee or something. But no, it's a real thing. Anyway, back to you guys in the chat for a second here. Super Mutant 299, who says he won't try again if he can just take a 3-month break, still play in big tournaments? Yeah. Again, if he's not punished more severely. I mean, if he doesn't have his titles stripped, his money stripped, if... I don't know how tenuous a circumstance you should put somebody in a professional sport when it comes to covertly cheating like that. Like, should there be to use another sports metaphor, a 3 strikes you're out situation? Or, you made a mistake, don't do it again. It's not a mistake, is the thing. Having a needle put in your... Unless you could prove that you absolutely did not know what you were being given. Like, let's say you had a trainer who didn't tell you that this vitamin B shot you were getting was actually anabolic steroid. If you could prove that, then hey, no harm, no foul necessarily. I'd still say you have to have your winnings and titles stripped because knowingly or not, you were competing at a unfair advantage. That maybe you could have that scenario. I don't know. But outside of something like that, where you are completely in the dark as the athlete as to what's happening to you, you might be able to win that moral victory. But elsewise, every part of this is a decision. Every moment in this is a decision point where someone made a choice. You didn't slip on a banana peel and fall onto a syringe full of anabolic steroid. Someone made a series of choices to reach that point. And so when it comes to athletics like this, I'd have to say 1 strike and you're out. You got caught using anabolic steroids in a professional sporting situation and gained money from it and titles and fame and endorsements and everything else because you knew that's what was on the line for winning versus losing. If you're caught doing that, you should be stripped of all your titles, stripped of all your winnings. Your record should be expunged up to the point where they could prove you were doping, and you should be banned from the sport for life. An integrity organization for tennis, and this guy's still allowed to compete? That's insane. But then, what are you going to do? Scribe's obviously not a tennis fan to pronounce Djokovic that way. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I know very little in the end about professional sports. I don't watch them, except for curling. I'll watch a curling match occasionally. Because watching grown women yipping and screaming at each other as they use brushes on ice to move a rock into a bullseye, that is athletics at its most perfect. I cannot say it enough. Mr. Hyde, love your content, Scribe, but I can't support YouTube anymore. Oh, well, I appreciate your love. Your love, I appreciate. And I understand. I've been asked many times over the years about getting like a Streamlabs, or some other alternative for donations and things like that. And thus far as I know, these other organizations run the risk of having my real information end up on your credit card bill or something. And I'm just not quite there yet. So unless or until I set up like an actual LLC and accountants, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of extra complications to it. And then at that point, it sounds like a job, and there's probably more taxes, and I don't know. So I appreciate that. Enough people have asked me over the years. I'm going to start seeing if I can find an alternative, because I do appreciate the donations. It's not I do this even without, but I do appreciate them very much. I understand the value of $1, thankfully. I will look into it. I will look into it more aggressively. We'll see if I come up with something. If I can find another outlet that won't give away my personal details and home address and things like that, as there is a risk with Streamlabs, I'll see if I can figure it out. So that aside, let's move on to our next story. So this is something, at least sidewise, I've covered quite a bit in the past, and this is Eric Adams, mayor of New York. Now, he has had a very tumultuous mayoralship, or whatever you want to call it. When he came into the office, he was very pro-sanctuary city, pro-immigration. He was very Trump-defiant. And going into the beginning of Biden's term, even the Biden administration, seeing the writing on the wall, went to mayors like Eric Adams and the mayor of Chicago and so on and asked them, hey, would you help us out with immigration stuff? And even then, they stood on virtue, Eric Adams included, to say, no, we're not going to help ICE. We're going to welcome people and so on and so forth. Well, eventually, the proverbial money was put where the mouth was, or it was forced upon it, because illegal immigrants and amnesty seekers and so on, asylum seekers, were sent en masse into cities like Chicago and Denver and New York. And New York had a law that basically said, if you are homeless, if you have no home, we will find you a place to stay. It was kind of a statute or something. It'd been there forever, but hadn't been used to any great extent that it caused a whole lot of problems until you start infusing the city with tens of thousands of illegal immigrants and asylum seekers, and suddenly you're honor bound by your own statutes to give everybody who shows up a roof over their head. And this turned into such a debacle that Eric Adams turned from a sanctuary city advocate into a New York is going to be destroyed by this within like 6 months or something. At the same time, questions about corruption and bad dealings surrounded him from early on in his, not only his campaign, but then, of course, after he was elected. And part of this was a strange association he had with the Turkish government, and being given free airline travel, and maybe, and I'm being legal here, the allegations of special treatment being given to certain real estate developers because they were attached to the Turkish government, and to look past certain code violations in order to approve building permits and all types of crazy stuff. At the same time, multiple individuals around Eric Adams in his administration were investigated for and or indicted on potential corruption charges and illegal acts, and it looked really bad. And Eric Adams then had a whole bunch of charges befall him. But then Trump comes into office, and all of the sudden, they're moving to dismiss the charges. And as a result of that, let's get into this story. DOJ files motion to dismiss charges in Mayor Eric Adams' case after several prosecutors resign. The mayor was charged with corruption related to taking bribes. The Department of Justice has filed a motion to dismiss corruption charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams after a series of top prosecutors resigned in protest this week. An attorney in the Justice Department's Public Integrity Section, Edward Sullivan, signed the paperwork Friday evening, which was required to move forward with seeking the formal dismissal of charges. Along with another career official in the criminal division, Tony Bacon, acting Deputy Attorney General Emile Bove also signed the papers. The move ends an extraordinary stalemate between prosecutors in the department's public integrity section and Bove, who earlier this week instructed prosecutors in the Southern District of New York to dismiss the case against Adams. But why? Why dismiss this case? What was wrong with it? That request led to a scathing letter from acting U.S. Attorney Daniel Sassoon to U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, suggesting Bove and other members of DOJ leadership were explicitly aware of a quid pro quo suggested by Adams' attorneys, saying Adams' vocal support for Trump's immigration policies would be boosted by dismissing the indictment against him. Okay, so the allegation is the Trump administration, and again, this is the allegation, the Trump administration went to Eric Adams and said, hey, Eric Adams, mayor of New York, mayor of a city where the immigration situation is completely out of control and could be used, and this is just my sort of supposition here, could be used as a example of how we want other cities that declare themselves to be sanctuary cities to behave going forward with our new immigration policy. Hey, Eric Adams, if you do what we say, use your executive power as mayor to change things in New York in order to not only set the example, but also start showing that our immigration initiatives are working by getting numbers to drop and having some dramatic arrests and so on and so forth, we will drop these charges against you. That is the allegation. And I got to tell you, and we'll get to what the attorney's comments are in a minute here, I assume, from the article, the timing is awfully suspicious. Because Eric Adams has been under investigation since the Biden administration. And there was an allegation back then that the Biden administration was only investigating Eric Adams because he had changed his position on immigration with his whole "this will destroy New York." At the same time, though, there are some real major red flags about Eric Adams and corruption since long before the whole immigration crisis started in New York. So Sassoon then resigned. This was the lady that was in charge of the prosecution at that point, later joined by 3 other top supervisory officials within the public integrity section in Washington, D.C., where the case had been reassigned. You know, one attorney resigning, maybe she's an activist or something. Maybe she's just a zealot. But 3 in a row resigning from their positions, I don't know. The impasse continued into Friday when many of the section's leaders refused to sign the paperwork and also resigned in protest before Bove gathered the rest of the section earlier Friday to tell them that there would be serious consequences if no one stepped forward to sign the paperwork. Sources familiar with the matter told ABC News. He needed someone to sign. He couldn't do it himself. And everybody that came down the pike in the hierarchy kept resigning because they did not want to put their name on dismissing the case against Eric Adams. But now it has been. Now that the paperwork is filed, a federal judge will have to decide whether the case can be dismissed. Well, more likely than not, the judge will go along with it because it's not the federal judge's place to tell the attorney general who they can and cannot or should not prosecute. So I would be amazed if the federal judge, if they haven't already made a decision, because this story is a day or two old now, would have said otherwise. Before the paperwork was filed, yet another federal prosecutor resigned, another one, suggesting only a fool or a coward would file the motion sought by Bove. Quote, no system of ordered liberty can allow the government to use the carrot of dismissing charges or the stick of threatening to bring them again to induce an elected official to support its policy objectives, unquote. Hagan Scotton, the assistant United States attorney for the Southern District of New York, said in his resignation letter. Yeah, we heard throughout the Trump campaign about the evils of lawfare. And again, it's just the allegation. It doesn't look good if you're going to let somebody who is potentially, provably corrupt in politics off the hook so you can use the legal system to blackmail him. Chad Mizell, Bondi's chief of staff, pushed back against the defiant prosecutors in a statement Friday afternoon, contending Adams' prosecution was politically motivated. Was it? Was it? I mean, Did the Turkish government, in trying to build an embassy in New York, really, like, just not deserve to have building code violations levied against them? And when those were waived by the mayor's office just out of hand, while the mayor's also accepting lots of provable financial gifts and airfare and a bunch of other stuff from the Turkey, is that not worth looking into? Quote, the fact that those who indicted and prosecuted the case refused to follow a direct command is further proof of the disordered and ulterior motives of the prosecutors. Such individuals have no place at DOJ, he said. So you call them insubordinate for not following an order that multiple professional district attorneys and attorneys general, etc., and officials therein all said sounded like nonsense, sounded like quid pro quo, sounded like letting somebody off the hook. Like I said, if it was just one person and everybody else agreed, but I mean, down the ladder all the way. Adams was indicted in September on 5 counts, with federal prosecutors alleging he accepted illegal gifts, including plane upgrades and hotel stays, from Turkish businessmen and officials in exchange for preferential treatment when he was Brooklyn borough president and later as mayor. The indictment also alleged Adams received illegal campaign straw donations from Turkish nationals. Adams pleaded not guilty, has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing, and claimed without any basis that he was being politically targeted by the Biden administration, even though the probe covers many years before Biden was in office. Yep. Adams' lawyer denied there was any quid pro quo between Adams and the Trump administration before DOJ leadership instructed prosecutors to drop the case without prejudice, meaning it can be refiled. Quote, the idea that there was quid pro quo is a total lie, attorney Alex Spiro said. Quote, we offered nothing and the department asked nothing of us. Adams appeared with Trump administration border czar Tom Homan on Fox and Friends on Friday morning. Following that appearance, Adams released a statement that said, I want to be crystal clear with New Yorkers. I never offered, nor did anyone offer on my behalf, any trade of my authority as your mayor for an end to my case. Never. They didn't quote the attorney. Hold on. Because there was another story. Let's see. Because something was said by one of Adams' lawyers that heavily indicated that there was a deal. And Homan said a couple of things that heavily indicated there was a deal. Let me see if I can find that. Oh, boy. Yeah, now I'm... I had thought that this story would cover those details. Apparently, I was mistaken, and that was my bad. If I can't find them in relatively short time here, I will try to post them later on the Discord server for everyone's edification. Because... There was some comment made by Homan. Let's see. Just want to make sure I. Okay. Okay. This might indicate it. Hold on a second here. Let me switch out stories. Because I was pretty sure that story would cover it, but apparently not. Let's go to this one instead. All right, so this is NBC News. Trump's border czar tells New York City mayor he'll be, quote, up his butt, unquote, if he breaks vow to help ICE. So it might be indicative of something, might not be. Let's find out. On the same day, the Justice Department was hit with a wave of resignations over an order to drop corruption charges against Eric Adams. The New York City mayor met with President Donald Trump's border czar in a closed-door meeting. The mayor, who is under intense pressure from the Trump administration as his criminal case hangs in the balance, agreed in the meeting Thursday to follow federal immigration officials to operate at the city's Rikers Island jail. Quote, I came to New York City and I wasn't going to leave with nothing, unquote, Tom Homan, Trump's border czar, said Friday morning in a joint interview with Adams on Fox and Friends. Adams sat side by side with Homan, the man Trump installed to crack down on migrants. You mean crack down on illegal immigration. I love how NBC and these outlets are still trying to couch the language about what is actually happening and try to like downplay the fact that we have massive amounts of criminals in the country. It's migrants. During the Fox interview after the Justice Department was thrown into turmoil with the sudden departure of 6 top federal prosecutors and officials, including the acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Danielle R. Sassoon. The resignations came after Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove, who was Trump's criminal defense attorney, ordered Sassoon to dismiss the charges, arguing in part that they were interfering with Adams' ability to help the administration tackle illegal immigration. Right, so this mayor may be and may have been corrupt and taking bribes for years and years and years, but we can't prosecute him right now because we need him as a tool to help us with our illegal immigration scheme. We couldn't let just nature take its course and work around it. Okay. Sassoon said in a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi that she couldn't in good conscience ask a judge to drop the case given the strength of the evidence, and that she was extremely troubled by what was discussed at a January 31st meeting with Adams' lawyers. Quote, Adams' attorneys repeatedly urged what amounted to a quid pro quo, indicating that Adams would be in a position to assist with the department's enforcement priorities only if the indictment were dismissed, unquote, wrote Sassoon, a conservative who clerked for the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. Okay, so you know what I said earlier, like maybe one person resigning, they might be some kind of activist or zealot. I don't know. I realize that, association does not necessarily indicate political philosophy, but if you clerked for Antonin Scalia, the idea that you're politically motivated to fight this because it's Donald Trump asking, I don't know. Sassoon added, quote, rather than be rewarded, Adams' advocacy should be called out for what it is, an improper offer of immigration enforcement assistance in exchange for a dismissal of his case, unquote. Adams' lawyers have said the claim that a quid pro quo was brought up is a total lie, unquote. The order to drop the charges against Adams was a highly unusual move that legal experts said would make the mayor beholden to the Trump administration. Yes, it all looks really bad. Adams, a former New York police captain elected to mayor in 2021, was indicted last year. He is accused of taking $100,000 worth of free plane tickets and luxury hotel stays from wealthy Turkish nationals in an almost decade-long corruption scheme. Let's see. And near the end, this is back to the Fox interview. Near the end of the interview, Homan used colorful language to describe what he would do if Adams failed to follow through on his promise to let immigration agents operate at Rikers Island. Quote, if he doesn't come through, Homan said, quote, I'll be back in New York City and we won't be sitting on the couch. I'll be in his office, up his butt, saying, quote, where the hell is the agreement we came to? What agreement? What? Okay, see, here's the thing. When you say things like that, the next question is, well, what is Adams getting out of it? And if at the exact same time you're dropping serious federal bribery charges against the mayor, I don't know what to tell you guys. It's not necessarily evidence, but there's a lot of smoke there. And I'm only saying that because, legal reasons. But yeah, that's not a good look. Not a good opener. For everything else Trump has been doing the last several weeks, the two things that are the most either silly in one instance or decidedly not a good look, to put it mildly, especially after railing against the Justice Department over the last 4 years for what was done to Trump, and saying that they were weaponizing the Justice Department to meet their political ends and attack their political rivals. The implication that the Justice Department is dropping criminal charges against somebody as leverage to get them to go along with their political, priorities, that's just not a good look. Not a good look. But anyway, what do you guys have to say about it? Advocacy, the issue that it is that the supposed years of investigation culminated with charges on almost the day he changed his stance on immigrants, almost like they held on to the charges to begin with. Let's say that's so. Does that make the crimes he committed and they have evidence for somehow illegitimate? I mean, let's say they decided to hold an October surprise of a legitimate series of crimes he committed over the course of a decade. Because the motivation might be questionable, the crimes are dismissed? I'm just asking here. It's like, what is the correct thing to do in this situation? Let somebody who has committed a series, conceivably, allegedly committed a series of corruption crimes over the course of years, remain in position at the expense of then kowtowing to the president's agenda? That's a better outcome than, if they had just dropped the charges. Let's say you're right. Let's say the whole thing was politically motivated. What he did, the evidence was so thin. Let's say they decided to fill in the gaps with what was lacking in evidence with political zealotry. Let's say that's true. Okay, I'll stipulate to that theory for a second. Okay. To then immediately have him in some kind of nebulous agreement to go along with the current administration's initiatives in immigration, neither of these things make it look good either way, right? Whether the charges were BS or not, I mean, if they were BS, then you play them out in court or let the evidence fall where it is or have it fall apart in a grand jury or something else. You just dismiss them and suddenly he does what you want him to. Yeah, the two wrongs don't make a right, and even if and again, this should have been played out in court. If the evidence was thin, if they didn't have a case, then he played out in court. But that's the thing with court. You don't always win. Well, I mean, this is the system that we have. It isn't perfect, but in Random American, how is that agreement any different than what Holman, is getting from other mayors or governors? Well, how many other mayors or governors have federal criminal indictments hanging over their heads that are suddenly wiped away in exchange for cooperation, allegedly? I mean, threatening a mayor or a governor with potential prosecution for obstruction of justice and aiding and abetting and everything else if they continue behaving in a way that would hinder legal law enforcement actions, that's one thing. But to have an indictment that was levied months ago on a completely different subject, dealing with crimes going back a decade, and saying, you'll do what we say or else we'll let this charge or this case continue forward, that's a completely different kettle of fish. Okay. I mean, in the case of some mayor in California or something saying, I'm not going to have our police assist law enforcement in illegal immigration raids, and in fact, I'm going to announce publicly when these things are coming. Okay, that is potentially the promise of a future crime, hindering prosecution, obstruction of justice, aiding, and a whole bunch of other things. But that hasn't happened yet. Right? And telling somebody, if you do that, there will be consequences. In this case, it's a completely different deal. No, if the evidence is thin, you don't go to court. Well, that's the thing. I mean, like I say, if the prosecution against Adams was politically motivated, if the Department of Justice determined that there wasn't enough evidence, if that was their claim, then maybe. But the case had gone through a lot of investigation up to the point where they levied the charges. Remember, the charges might have been levied in September, but the investigation going into them was going on for months prior. And this was under the Biden DOJ. So if everything prior to that was just based on, well, we're going to get this guy because he's defying Biden. We're going to get this guy because he's starting to sound like a Trump supporter on immigration. If they were filling in the gaps with what they didn't have for evidence with political zealotry, well, that would be pretty easy to show. But I'm not seeing a whole lot of that here except for a claim of it. So, Advocates say, but they only have one chance to go after him, and if they cannot prove they weren't politically motivated, they lose it. Again, even if something, here's the thing. If there's evidence of wrongdoing, like actual evidence, it's not ginned up, it's not made up, it's not false information, but the motivation to start levying charges or starting to put a case forward is politically motivated, does that make the case illegitimate? This is the disconnect that I have. It's like, I don't like the idea now or as before against Trump that the Department of Justice or the legal system in general would be used as a weapon to punish political opponents or something. I don't like that idea at all. But at the end of the day, if the case itself is actually solid, does the motivation for bringing it forward matter? I'd be more concerned about a solid case that's not brought forward because of political motivation. I'd be more concerned about somebody getting away with crimes because of their political affiliation rather than being indicted on real crimes because of a political affiliation. I don't like either one. I don't think political motivation should be involved at all. But in this instance, in this one case, yeah. But anyway, we're basing this discussion on an NBC article, while others have actually looked at the memos and letters between these lawyers. Yeah, like I say, it smells awfully funny that the case is dismissed is immediately then thereafter. Adams kowtows to Trump policies, and beyond that, again, all the resignations. Like, everybody's throwing their jobs away on this because, what, they're in the tank for Biden? Or something? Or they're anti-Trump? Anyway, I don't like it. Smells fishy. And people who think that Trump is a saint or something and can do no wrong, I don't know what to tell you. I agree with a lot of the things he's been doing. On DEI, on immigration in general, and a whole bunch of other things. But he doesn't get a pass from me on everything just because he's Donald Trump, just because he's not Biden. If someone does something illegal, they should be prosecuted for it. That's the long and the short. So, anyway. Let's see. Advocates, those 6 prosecutors were being dismissed anyways. Their resignations are meaningless. Well, Bove certainly needed somebody to sign those papers, so okay. I mean, if you want to pack the Justice Department with, ideological sycophants to do your bidding, even if it's ethically questionable, I guess that's okay too, or something. I don't know. Let's see what else we have here. Random on this, they go to court with thin evidence all the time. Well, sure. Yeah, there are ginned up cases. I'm not saying there aren't. And for all I know, because I'm not a legal expert, I'm not on the inside of it, all I know, Eric Adams' case might have been thin. It might have been ginned up. There might have been nothing there. Maybe all the allegations of corruption were completely explicable and innocent. We'll never know now. And unfortunately, the question's going to hang over the whole situation because it didn't go through. And 6 prosecutors and other officials decided that their personal integrity was more important than signing a paper they didn't believe in. And again, you can question whether or not they were being legitimate in that, whether they were acting in some kind of activist way or something. But again, red flags all over the place. Anyway, let's move on from that. I think we've dwelled on that one long enough. Let's go over to, let's see what kind of stories we got over on the Discord machine. Just a note for those of you posting stories over on Discord, if you would also recreate the headline of the article in addition to the link to it, because if you just put a link without any kind of details on it, I don't know what I'm clicking on before I get there, and it would help me to suss things out a little bit. I got to go through 2 different. And also, if you can get me the link to the direct article and not a pass-through. I know I'm being really, really picky here. I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but Let's put up this one. So this one comes from, let me double check here, Shadow Aria. Let's pull this one up right here. Democrat introduces bill for slavery reparations as Trump continues crackdown against DEI efforts. This kind of goes into the second half of this week's previous TED Excellence that dealt with land returns as a form of reparations. Representative Ayanna Pressley, yes, the Netflix Lex Luthor, vowed to continue advocating for legislation that repairs, quote, deep structural injustices, unquote. A Democratic representative has reintroduced a bill to study reparations for slavery amid President Donald Trump's sweeping crackdown on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. H.R. 40 was first introduced in 1989 by Representative John Conyers and later championed by the late Sheila Jackson Lee, who passed away last year. The bill, named after the unfulfilled promise of 40 acres and a mule to formerly enslaved black Americans, seeks to establish a federal commission to examine the lasting effects of slavery and propose reparative measures. Meanwhile, Trump's administration has aggressively dismantled DEI programs. Interesting connection they're making here between reparations for slavery and DEI. Is DEI reparations? Okay. Meanwhile, Trump's administration has aggressively dismantled DEI programs. Last month, he issued an executive order banning DEI offices in federal agencies, leading to the removal of key diversity policies. Yes, and by the way, I've started a new series on my channel called DEI Death Watch, where I'm collecting specifically DEI stories and what's going on lately with the rapid decline of the industry. I'll be doing another episode probably tomorrow. So this one kind of straddles that for the sake of the broadcasting, but there you go. During an emotional press conference on Capitol Hill, I'm sure it was very, very emotional. I'm sure the emotions were very, very legitimate. Ayanna Pressley vowed to carry on Jackson Lee's legacy, calling the bill a, quote, meaningful step towards repairing deep structural injustices. Yet with a giant paycheck that somehow you'll determine who's worthy of receiving based on generations' distance from crimes that never occurred to the recipients. Despite the Republican-controlled Congress making passage unlikely, she emphasized the importance of continuing the fight for reparations. Well, yeah, because you have to stand on a completely failing argument over and over again, because what have you got left at this point, right? I mean, reproductive rights have gone back to the states. You guys have been utterly defeated politically and embarrassed left, right, and center. The auditing of all of these wasteful spending things. I had an argument with if you can believe it, I had an argument with somebody on X the other day where I said, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, I said all the revelations coming out from Elon Musk and Doge should shame everyone in Congress, regardless of party. I keep seeing it said over and over again that Elon Musk doesn't run things, Congress holds the purse strings. And I say, yes, Congress does hold the purse strings, and look at what a bang-up job they've been doing with it. I don't know what to tell you. If you guys can't account for yourselves, you need to be accounted for. And so for them, like, what do the Democrats have left to stand on at this point? In some sort of like virtuous stance on anything? I don't know. I don't think they know either. But reparations? Look, reparations have been bandied about for decades and decades. In the early days of the lockdown, I did a live stream watching a congressional hearing that had to be done by Zoom call because, of course, social distancing, where you had people on both sides of the argument arguing for and against reparations. And I remember distinctly the people on the for side, they kept saying and kept assuring everybody listening and the people in the commission, this is not about writing a check. This is not about writing a check. And I'm like, of course it's about writing a check. Because everything that they came up with as some kind of an attempt to redress the situation dealt with increased this and establishing a commission to do that and da-da-da-da. I'm like, that's all taxpayer money. That's all taxpayer money. That's writing a check. The further we get away from the actual crimes committed, the more difficult it's become to come up with a reasonable, if there is any reasonable reparations, but you can't repair this. You can't fix history. There's no quantum leap accelerator with an endless wallet to make this right. I'm not quite sure. And here's the other thing too. As I said, this has been bandied about for decades. I have yet to hear, in every reparations spiel I've ever sat down and listened to, you would think, and I think I said this on the TEDx talk the other night, you would think that by now there would be some relatively well thought out, well established sort of blue book elevator pitch for how a reparations process would work. Not just saying that it needs to happen, but how would it happen? How would it be affected? I mean, I'm willing to hear what the structure of it would look like without necessarily accepting it. But over and over again, I haven't heard a consistent message on that, just that it needs to happen. Okay, well, the need, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of an abstract moral philosophical question. But how would you do it? And how would, in doing it, not then increase racial divisions rather than decrease them? I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Any other stories? What time is it? We got a little extra time here. Let's see. What's this? Oh boy. Dare I take a story from Frosted Glass? A story that asks for my verification of... okay. You know what, guys? Just as a note, I should probably have a subsection on the Discord for this. Now that I'm going to start doing DEI stuff in its own show, and I have to do this myself, I have to start regulating myself on this, I'm going to set DEI stories specifically for DEI Death Watch, unless there's so much crossover with something else that it's unavoidable. So if you have a DEI story specifically for me that you put into the Sunday stream, I should probably just start a new subheading for DEI Death Watch. I'll do that. I'm going to set up a new subheading on the Discord server for DEI Death Watch, and if you have story suggestions for that series, you can put them there. I'll set that up after this show. So no harm, no foul to those of you that put them there. If you want to repost them to that, that would be fine. And we'll... what? Okay. Now, I got to make sure there's not any imagery on this one that's going to get me in trouble. Oh, okay. I don't know about this. And not because I'm some kind of prude, but because YouTube is. So there's a story. Tell you what, how about I read this one? I'll just do total podcast on this one. I'll read this one without putting it up. You'll just have to take my word for it. This comes from the Best Remy. And because I'm a little sketchy on whether or not this is going to cause me problems, I'm going to just read it aloud, and you guys just have to use your imaginations. Just use your imaginations. Imagine this is a New York Post story, and this is the headline: company-sanctioned sex days could be coming. Paid time off to get freaky, quote, boosts productivity, unquote, and workplace loyalty, research finds. I need a mental health day, boss. In bed. They want the day off to get it on. Knocking boots instead of clocking in increases employee productivity, according to new data on the benefits of taking, quote, sex days, unquote, off from the job. Quote, sex days are dedicated time off for intimacy, health, and related needs, unquote, explain researchers from Zip Health, an online pharmacy. Oh wow, Zip Health, the online pharmacy. Okay, sounds legit. Surveying 800 staffers and 200 managers across all adult age demographics. Okay, honestly, if somebody came to you and said, hey, would you be in favor of your boss allowing you to have days off to go get, do some mattress athletics with your partner? To get paid to do this, by the way? I think everybody be like, sure. Who would say no? JB, pardon me for not getting this earlier. Didn't Dave Chappelle have a skit about this? I think it was the richest black man in the world. Yeah, it was something like that. I think that there was a Dave Chappelle skit about like reparations finally hit, and everybody's driving around in like Cadillacs or something, and everybody's like upset about it. I vaguely remember somebody in like an Escalade driving up with a bunch of gold chains on. And it was like the day after reparations or something like that. JB again, thank you so much. Ah, crap, it's Brave New World. A little bit. Johnny Hellcat, I wonder if they employ corporate mandated hose. I don't know. I guess you have to go to the gardening store. They give you a discount. Give you a reimbursement. Let's see. Surveying 800 staffers and 200 managers across all adult age demographics, Gen Z, Millennials, Gen X, and Baby Boomers. Analysts found that 50% of 9-to-5ers who've ditched the desk to get down and dirty experienced a rise in their work output. Yeah, you know what? I mean, there's a certain amount of science that's like, if you're in a good mood, one, and two, if you know that after you're done clocking off of work, you're going to get home and have a little bit of a little sugar baby, or give me some sugar baby. Yeah, happiness is having something to look forward to. But anyway, it's the new sick day, but instead of staying home and taking meds, they're getting busy shaking the bed. Oh, New York Post, you're so classy. Quote, half of the employees who had taken a sex day reported a noticeable boost in their productivity afterward, say study authors. Quote, hinting at the potential organizational advantages of embracing sexual wellness initiatives, unquote. And the New York Post then says, now that's bangin'. Well, here's the thing. Wouldn't, like, if you're a two-income household, wouldn't you have to, like, coordinate your sex days with your partner to make sure that you both had the same day off? Sex days. But beyond getting to enjoy an all-day weekday roll in the hay, you're attributing a heck of a lot of stamina to these people. Whoever would take these days, boy, you got some confidence in their abilities. Anyway, some hanky-panky time away from the daily grind could be just what the doctor ordered, especially when it comes to supporting one's mental health. Sexpert, not expert, mind you, sexpert Tara. Oh my, okay. All right, I'm going to put this last name in the chat. And I'm going to let it speak for itself. And I'm going to do my best to pronounce it with the foreknowledge that it contains within it a word that is too perfect for this subject matter. Tara Suwin Yada Chaiporn. Tara Suwin Adachaiporn, a professor at the University of California, Fullerton, recently warned that all work and no play can cause stress, anxiety, depression, and anger. The not safe for work know-it-all advised that the negative emotions associated with overworking and undershagging can zap the pleasure out of doing the do once a workaholic finally carves out a little time for intimacy. Investigators for Zip Health, like they have a team of private eyes or something. Investigators for Zip Health, too, underscored the benefits of boinking to an hireling's overall well-being. The insiders revealed that nearly 60% of employees said addressing sexual health at work could improve mental health, which would, in turn, impact work performance. Well, hell, why not establish, like, intimacy closets at the workplace? So you... No, that's not from the article. That's me talking. Hey, you know how you have like little private phone rooms for people sometimes when they need to go have a call or something during work hours? Yeah, why not have intimacy closets? I'm going to brand that. I'm going to patent that. Intimacy closet. Any patent lawyers out there? I want to patent intimacy closets for the workplace, where you, by yourself or with a partner, can go, get a little boost before going back to the desk. Can we start intimacy closets? I'd like to start intimacy closets. Analysts also found that nearly 60% of employees felt prioritizing sexual wellness could reduce burnout or absenteeism. I'm sure everybody and their brother's like, hey, extra days off? Paid days off? Yeah, sure. Unsurprisingly, younger members of the workforce, Gen Zers and millennials, laborers ranging in age from 18 to 43, are all in favor of sex days. Younger... Everyone would be in favor of having free time off for purportedly going home and doing the do. Thank you, Johnny Hellcat. Gives a whole new definition of maternity rooms. Ooh. Now here's the real question, though. If we did institute intimacy closets, the janitorial staff are going to deserve hazard pay. I'm just saying. Okay. In fact, the demand for company-sanctioned sex days, either paid or unpaid, really, is so great that folks on the clock said they'd happily forego other work perks in exchange for the green light to get freaky, per the report. A staggering 23% agreed to forfeit, quote, free meals and snacks from the job. Free? I never got free meals. The only time I ever got free meals and snacks at work, actually, meals only on like for our Christmas party. Snacks would be if somebody brought in like a box of cookies or donuts or something. They were rarely, if ever, provided directly from work. I mean, occasionally the boss would bring in like muffins and such. So sometimes that happened. But holy cats! Wait a second. JB, thank you. What do if single? That sounds depressing. Well, that's why I'm saying intimacy closets. So you don't have to, you just do what you have to do. And if you're single and you say you want a sex day, well, we know what's happening. And Derek LaRue, holy cats, Derek LaRue without a beard. Are you sure you're Derek LaRue? Are you like Samson? If you cut your beard, you lose your power? Well, I don't know. I see a female in that picture. Derek LaRue, thank you so much. That's ridiculously generous of you. Very much appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. You're late. You're never late. You're always exactly on time. Derek LaRue is never late. He's always exactly where he needs to be. Thank you, Derek, so much. Wow. Hope you're having a good day, and thank you so much for your generosity and support. Really appreciate it. Let's see. Hot to trot job holders would also gladly sacrifice paid time off, remote work, and annual bonuses for the freedom to conduct some midweek funny... Okay, that's going a bit too far as I'm concerned. I'd be like, just to have a day off and not paid, to say the sacrifice paid time off. So just you get to leave work to go have some nookie and come back. You're willing to give up your annual bonuses and remote work. Okay, that's, from my mind, that's a bit too far. A shocking 20% of underlings said they'd even consider leaving their current job for one that offers sex days as part of its wellness benefits. Jeez, okay. However, it seems those who aren't offered a naked break are sneakily taking one right under the boss's nose. Oh, you don't say. Yeah, what was stopping people from doing this in the first place? Boss, I'm real sick. The poll found that 14% of employees have had sex at work. No kidding. With 10% of in-office workers and 12% of remote workers admitting to the behavior. And if only 12% are admitting, then the real number is probably something like 75%. The findings echo those of a September 2023 report from Calendar Labs, a virtual scheduling hub, which exposed 25% of work-from-home employees for humping and bumping during their shifts. Why not? You're at home. It's your home. What happened? Okay. Currently, only 3% of employers offer sex days, according to Zip Health. Who? What? 3% of all employers offer sex days? That's a lot of companies. But the study found that an impressive 15% of bigwigs are at least open to adopting them in the future. Quote, from enhancing mental health and reducing stigma, what? To boosting productivity and loyalty, sexual wellness initiatives could redefine workplace wellness programs, said researchers. Quote, with younger generations leading the way and tech, healthcare, and finance companies embracing the trend, the future of workplace wellness might be more dynamic than ever, unquote. Okay. Yeah. Susiano a la Richard. So they were doing homework. Homework. They were working on their family dynamics while remote working. Toot sweet. I'm celibate, damn it. This is discrimination. Well, then you could take a sex day any day or every day. Or, like I said, this is why we need intimacy closets at work. You know? I'm not saying they're like... I'm not saying turn your office place into a passive brothel. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, you know, if you want to have wellness at work, if you want to improve thoughts and reduce stigma on sexual well-being, then, you know, intimacy closets. Scribe Light approved intimacy closets. I'm starting it up. I need to find somebody to help me patent this. Now, what goes into an intimacy closet? Well, all the walls would have to be coated in a non-stick material. The floors would have to be likewise easily cleanable. There would have to be at least one or two small pieces of cushioned furniture or just things, bolted against the wall that one could lean on or sit on or use as a hand brace. And they'd have to be wheelchair accessible, so the width of the closet doors would have to be regulation. And I think this could work. Susano, is a fluffer a write-off? A healthcare, a sexual wellness facilitator. a sexual wellness facilitator is what you. That's what I think. That's what you're going for, Susano. I think that's what you're going for. We have to come up with a whole new terminology, guys. This is an industry just waiting to explode in a rapturous blossoming of industry. Oh man, Random American. I offered a test proof of the concept for this scribe. Oh well, all right. I'll keep that in mind. Explode, huh? Okay. That might have been not the most subtle of entendres. But it was la petite retort. I'm here all week, folks. I promise. Anyway, everyone, I think it's time I start winding things down before things get wound up too much. But yes, intimacy closets for workplaces and sexual wellness facilitators. Fallen Angel, it also have a gallon of KYJ. Yeah, I guess you would have to have dispensers in the... You know what? This is a whole thing. I'm going to have to diagram it. I'm going to have to, get a professional like architect to make the blueprints and everything. And then I got to find a patent attorney. Actually, I think I know. I think I know some trademark individuals. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I'm going to get working on this. I totally seriously will. And I'll get back to you on that. I'm going to have a test run on the moon. Yeah, Crater Valley Moon Base will be the testing ground for intimacy closets. Now, the only problem is there's only two of us here. So I'm going to need a guinea pig. Wowie, wow, wow. No. No, that's just weird. No, I'm going to have to import somebody. Or oh, wait. What am I thinking? Sir Adamantine's House of Celestial Sins. It's just down the street. And for those of you that are longtime viewers, that is a lore cut that is deep. Anyway, that all aside, everyone. Oh, wait, before I get... Oh, I'm interrupted by something good. Keeverdam, Frank Horrigan in chat has a request. Oh, wait, did I miss something? I probably did. Chat's going by awfully fast right now. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Keeverdam. Frank Horrigan. Oh, okay. Frank Horrigan. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully he's helped spread word about the wokeness crisis infecting the Fallout New Vegas modding community soon. Well, I did talk about Fallout Nuevo Mexico being ended as a project. I wouldn't be surprised if there was one, but I guess I would need an example. So, Frank Horrigan, if you want to tweet me an article or an example or something else, or tag me in something, or you can always join the Discord server to let me know about such things. And how do you join the Discord server, you may ask? Well, let me tell you. A link that I pre-made, before the show is now in the chat box. You click on that link, you'll find yourself on the landing channel called Say Hello. And in addition to saying hello, you just have to say the secret word. The secret word will tell me that you actually watched the stream, are not a robot, and if thus are in the right, the privilege, the entitlement to join the Discord server. And today's secret word is Intimacy Closet. Just say hello, Intimacy Closet, and I'll know for sure that you watched the show. Will these be used for legal Diddy party? No. No. This will be all done within the workplace. It'll be safe and secure and all above board. Anyway, a few programming notes, guys. A lot of stuff coming up. So tomorrow, in the morning time, I don't have a specific time yet. I do have tomorrow off from work, but it all depends on how much I want to sleep in and have other things to do. But tomorrow, in the morning time, Pacific time at least, there will be episode 3 of DEI Death Watch. I'll bring up some news stories of things going wrong for DEI and or the pushback to its demise. That'll be tomorrow. So keep an eye on Discord and Twitter for that. And then Tuesday at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, a special edition of TED Excellence, the first in what may become a series of spotlight episodes. Let me tell you what happened here. So my friend over on Midnight's Edge, Paul Chatto, we were talking about my TEDx series, and he mentioned that he has a favorite TED Talk, an actually good TED Talk, according to Paul. And I asked him, well, would you be interested in watching it with me sometime? He's like, yes. So I haven't seen this TED Talk, but he says it's his favorite one. It's by a guy named Sir Ken Robinson, talking about how education stifles creativity. And so we're going to watch this TED Talk Tuesday, starting at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern. And we're still going to do bingo. It may not be a scathing critique, as I've done with most other TED Talks, because they end up being ironically excellent, or unironically excellent. But because of YouTube's necessities, we'll still have to pause anyway. But we'll discuss it, and I'll discuss it with a fan of the talk. I haven't seen it before, so it'll be new to me, and it may be new to you. So that's coming up. But yeah, I may be doing in the future some spotlight episodes with friends of mine who have TED Talks that they're fans of, or TEDx Talks they think I should look at. Whether they're good or bad, questionable or otherwise, maybe we'll do that as a new series. We'll see. So that's coming up on Tuesday. And then, of course, Thursday, per usual, at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, is TED Excellence Proper. We'll look at another off-brand TED Talk for who knows, maybe insight, maybe intelligence, maybe something goofy. We'll find out together. And then, of course, always you'll find me Sundays here for this. All right, everybody, all the programming notes out of the way. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved. You have very, very little to do. Everyone who donated, either to myself or to the donation link at the top of the chat box for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, thank you guys so much for your generosity. Very much appreciated. So follow me on X. Leave a like down below if you like this kind of thing on the way out, or leave a dislike if you disliked it. I appreciate the interaction either way. Leave a comment if you like, or join the Discord server. And I think that's all the housekeeping. Everyone, I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. If you have Monday off tomorrow for President's Day, congratulations on having the day off. Use it for any kind of mattress athletics you might like. Bouncing on the bed by yourself or dancing on the ceiling. Either way, everyone. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.